Welcome to Arts Beyond Museums. I'm Khan, I'm your curator for this series. Now, for many different episodes of Art Beyond Museums, we have brought you to many different places in Singapore. And the feedback I've heard from you is that, wow, Singapore, yes, it's small, but there are a lot of places to explore. And some of the places might be close to you or you pass by all the time, but you didn't know they existed. Now, Art Beyond Museums, we are bringing Master Yun's Feng Shui painting and Feng Shui art to historically significant and amazing places around Singapore, hopefully all around the world, which you could and should visit. Today, we are at the Chinatown area. This place, I think it does not need any other description. We all know that if you come to Singapore, you will come to Chinatown to explore and to experience. This is where the Chinese settlers, majority of them, settled in back in the beginning of times. Now, bringing Master Yun's art to here, it's definitely a great match. We want to bring you to different gems in Chinatown that I think gives this whole historical town and area a new lease of life. Just like Master Yun's art, just like what we do in every single episode of Art Beyond Museums. Now, every single episode, we look at Master Yun's art and we find that there's something more and something exciting that we can look into it. Again, next to me, we have this He Tian Fu Di Tu series, Greetings to Heaven and Enrichment of Earth. This is number 51. I'm sure by now you are familiar with this series. This is the exact series that went up to the Great Wall of China. So a great series to own, by the way. Now, every single picture, every single painting, two cranes. This we know. But if we study it closely, just like how we do it in every single Art Beyond Museum episodes, how the cranes come together, their composition, the lines and the circles, they tell a different story. And in this number 51, 88,868, we see that these two cranes are very close by. In fact, coming so close together that I think it looks like a god, G-O-U-R-D, like a hulu. You know, in the past, people have this thing, the hulu, to actually store wine or to store alcohol or to store milk in it to preserve it and make sure that it does not decay easily. And that is longevity. A longevity of good luck, a longevity of the contents, and probably a longevity of the wine and the spirits and the alcohol as well. Speaking of alcohol, speaking of wines, today the little gem that we're going to explore, which I think is very significant, and the place that I think really breathes a new lease of life into Chinatown, it's really all about great alcohol. Let's explore. You have seen Master Yun's Feng Shui painting, but if you're wondering who exactly is this painter, who exactly is Master Yun Longzi? Now this is Master Yun. Master Yun, he's a 6th generation in the Feng Shui family. Now since young, he has learned how to paint and he has won numerous awards. Now in 2019, China's CCTV came all the way to feature Master Yun in a very long documentary and gave him many different awards. Till date, Master Yun has had 14 major art exhibitions around the whole world. Of course, the greatest one so far is in 2020 on the Great Wall of China. Now, Master Yun, he paints, he also writes calligraphy. Now this place we are at here now is called the Sago House, a relatively new installation in the heart of Chinatown, which I say that Chinatown, a very historical place, and this place really gives it a new breath of fresh air, revitalizing the entire place. I would dare say it's like a juxtaposition. We look at Master Yun's calligraphy, it's pretty much along the same line. It's not that traditional calligraphy that you can see those, straightforward words and you can read it off. It's like a calligraphy, it's also like a painting, it's also like an art piece. And I have here in what we call 鹤立鸡群. That means that the crane is standing among the chicken or the roosters, standing tall like a victor. This place, Sago House, even though it's pretty new, it's already one of the top 50 bars in Asia. Now that's really a 鹤立鸡群, a crane among the rest, standing tall. One of the ingredients that Martin used in his Feng Shui painting and Feng Shui calligraphy, we know that's gold, we know that's pine soot ink, we know that's vermilion, we know there's color splashing and so on, but there's also Laurent-Perrier's champagne. Now, Laurent-Perrier was established in 1812, and over 200 years, Laurent-Perrier has never worked with any other artist before. The first artist they worked with is none other than Master Yun. Let's try some Laurent-Perrier's La Cuvée champagne. I'm sure we'll be enjoying the La Cuvée champagne in a very different way today. Very fortunate I have with me here today Mr. Jay Gray, one of the founders of Sago House, and what I know that he's a real superstar in this industry. So you must enlighten me because I'm pretty new to all this.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us more about Sago House? It's really interesting, and I think I seem a bit out of place here wearing the full tux and stuff. But can I come here in the full tux? It's
Come
okay.
here wearing whatever you want.
Anything?
Or as little as you want.
As
it's
little
really up
as
to
you want. Yeah. Okay. What's the idea behind this? What's the attitude behind this? I feel that this is a place with a lot of attitude.
Yeah, so I think the foundation of Sago House was built off of Desiree Jane, my partner,
Yes.
George Abhishek, my other business partner, and myself. It was built off of the identity that the three of us shared.
Right.
All three of us have come up by our bootstraps, right? None of us had a handout in this industry. We worked our way up from either bottom of the bottom running the floor in a different business, or washing dishes in my case, and polishing glasses, through a career of helping others achieve what they dreamed of in their venues. A lot of what we've done here in Sago House is to take small pieces of the venues we've worked at that we loved, and place them here as an ideology.
Right.
Yeah.
It's refreshing. A lot of things that people might have forgotten or they are ignoring, and giving them new life again. Because from the furniture you were explaining, and to the walls and to the menus, but there's something unique about even the furniture that we have around here.
100%.
Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, outside of the ideological side of Sago House, we have the entire build. So this actually was a home for Desiree and myself for 1 year. We lived in the office behind us, as we wanted to sort of save money on the build, and everything in here was built by George, Desiree and myself, day in, day out, whilst we maintained other jobs.
I see.
We recycled probably about 80% of everything in here.
80%?
80% of everything here is recycled or upcycled.
So you got the materials, like let's say from somewhere where they don't even find that there's a use for it, but you see the value in it, and you give them new life, 100%. And it became, and as you look at it, it's actually fitting very perfectly well, and it has quite the age to it.
Yeah, I mean, most of it is quite old. I mean, the tables that we have on the main floor here are all from George Abhishek's first bar, his first version of Spiffy Dapper. So we cut them down. He kept them from 10 years ago. And we cut them into smaller tables. We've used coffee sacks from a local roastery to fit out our bench seating, and genuinely tried to go on sites like Art Don't Throw on Facebook. We've tried to go on other sort of, I would say, scavenging sites, and Carousel and Gumtree and all that sort of stuff, and pick up things that fit what we needed.
I see.
Not everything on the inside that holds things together has to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. I see. So, but it's a whole thing. So it's a lot of memories, a lot of identity involved, and actually it influences how you conduct your menu as well, or your drinking list.
100%.
Because there are 6 kinds of cocktail that you have.
Correct.
But every single week, there's a new kind to it. Am I right? Am I saying correctly?
Yeah, 100%. So we have a rolling menu.
Right.
It's not a brand new concept in the world. We definitely don't consider ourselves the originator of that style.
Okay.
Places like Bullet and Place have done it
Right.
for nearly 10 years.
Right.
But we thought that style fit our concept the best. Or lack of concept the best, because we like to keep things fresh and we like to recycle and upcycle. And what we've worked out over this past year is that we can upcycle and recycle ingredients, we can upcycle and recycle previous menus to create something new.
I see.
And when you're changing your drinks every single week, even though you're following 6 core styles, you will have some wastage, and we want to try and cancel that out as much as possible.
I see. So if you come here every single week, you get to try
brand new
things.
Drinks.
New
brand
things. It's brand new drinks.
Yeah, 6 brand new drinks
6
following
brand new
6
drinks.
styles every single week.
So you have a reason to come here every single week. Then.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
the whole thing is really about being refreshed, giving a new lease of life. Because Chinatown is really a place that is one of the most ancient places in Singapore.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to other countries, still very young, but it's one of the most historical places. But I think a place like this, set in juxtaposed in Chinatown, really, it's quite something. It's different. It's a new lease of life. It's refreshing.
And that is the interesting word there, juxtaposition, because we are something that's new in Chinatown, relatively new. But as you can tell by the fit out and how we carry ourselves, we didn't want to stand out like a sore thumb within the Chinatown community. We wanted to make sure we had a great relationship with the community in Chinatown. So that we become more of a permanent fixture here and less of someone trying to sort of edge their way into an up and coming area and gentrify it. We're not looking to gentrify anything.
Right. So there's a relationship to it, because the whole structure, while there's a lot of modern stuff going on, like this piece of wall, which I'm going to try to explain what's going on in this piece of wall in just a while. The furniture, as Jay mentioned, the windows, we see that it's a bit of remnants of the old Singapore as well.
We haven't touched anything to do with the
Haven't
windows.
touched
They're
all the
original.
old Singapore windows, and that's where the menu is actually, right?
Yeah.
And change that every single week.
Well, we saw that they were beautiful windows anyways, and we wanted a way of highlighting them. And also we wanted to stop paper waste and stop waste in general.
I wanted to say that because you don't have to print the menu every single. You don't have to up the QR codes then.
No.
Okay.
But the team, Fix and CC and Desiree, they do the windows as sort of installations of art every single week anyways. They actually put a lot of thought into it. The team as a whole puts in thought into the names of the drinks.
I see.
We're not just trying to throw things out there every week. We want to evoke some form of emotion or memory. So most of the drinks nod to something either pop culture or something from childhood. And we like to evoke that kind of emotion. It gives the drinks more meaning to our guests as well as to our team.
I see. So juxtaposed in Chinatown, and you mentioned a sort of like a relatively new bar, but still top 50 in Asia.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. Yeah,
top
so
50 in Asia.
49.
49.
Right? That's a nice place to be for our first year. It's very fortunate for the team. The team earned it. It was entirely the team's doing. We have a team that comes in every single day to mise en place, to prep, to serve, to prepare for our guests, and they earned that 100%. So,
what about this wall? Because they are staring at me. So what's
right. So behind us. Here we actually have an installation by a guy called Miguel, or Distort Monsters.
Right.
These are his monsters, and this is what he does.
This is motifs, M-O-T-I-F. This is what he paints.
Everything is to do with these little guys.
Right.
We saw him, a friend of a friend from the Philippines introduced us. I love everything about this.
Okay.
And this is, if anything, a juxtaposition because it's bright, and it's bold, and it's thick, dense lines.
You have this new stuff going on. You have this very arcane and historical things going on. You have the old Singapore windows going on. All these are coming together in this place. And your original idea is that this wall, you will actually want to refresh it every single time.
It will rotate. I mean, we usually try and align it. We were supposed to try and align this with CultureCon every year. And two things are at play here. Big festivals, art festivals like CultureCon happen a lot, and some of the smaller or up-and-coming artists don't get probably as much
exposure,
permanent installations in Singapore as you'd expect. So we would love to consistently and continuously work with rising stars in the graffiti or street art or even fine art industry who are interested in something like a large format installation.
Yes.
Not only because it's a great talking piece and because it looks great, but to promote their work. We've worked with other artists around Southeast Asia, young artists that are doing prints. Our backside of the venue is all covered in their prints as well.
Right. That's amazing. I mean, the concept of how the most easier term to say is like the win-win situation. How all these elements coming together. That's why when I was here last week, I was telling Jay the idea of like, okay, I want to bring art beyond museums to this place. And he agreed immediately. I said, wow, this is wonderful, because I think we can, on the surface, it would seem as if Master Yun's art and Sago House has not much in common. But if you look deep into it, the part about refreshing a heritage, the part about refreshing things that people might have forgotten and helping each other out, I think it's something we all have in common.
This is it. And I think art is something never to be forgotten. I think sometimes art gets misplaced or misused or appropriated. We're not about that. What we really enjoy is bringing art to the fore, and not necessarily your big pieces by Banksy or whomever else. Whilst albeit they have their
influence and their value. Yes.
I like seeing what younger people are coming up with. I like seeing what modern art for my generation looks like now.
Right.
And I appreciate it. And it's incredibly hard to be a bartender and create this kind of art, and it's incredibly hard to be a young artist in this day and age, because it's a forever saturated. Here's a question.
Yeah.
Can art actually saturate? Is that something that can be saturated? That's a question we ask ourselves all the time. Is our menu going to saturate over the 63 weeks we've been doing it?
Yeah.
Are we going to repeat ourselves? I think no. Our team thinks no. And what we like to compare to is the art world. Just because someone's doing a similar style doesn't mean that they're going to repeat themselves over and over again.
Yeah. There's always something. You give your best now, and then there's always something more.
Yeah.
If you don't give your best now, you will never reach the point to discover something more.
100%. You're going to push
Something
yourself
like that,
all the time. Yeah. And the team here, led by Edwin and Sam and Naz, they push themselves every single week.
Yes. And they're the ones who come up with they take part and come up with the new menu, the new cocktails every week.
And not only them, but who are strong founding members of the team, but younger members like Trisha, who are upcycling or upskilling and learning new things as they go. Trisha not only helped us build lots of parts of Sago House and Low Tide, she is now working on menu items for Sago House as well. That is healthy.
Right. Amazing. So I asked Jay to do something special for today's episode, and here we have with us actually it's a cocktail.
We do.
But the part of the ingredient is Laurent-Perrier's champagne.
Yes.
Cuvée, the sponsor of Lotus Water, and Master Yun's art. So what is going on with this thing?
So this is actually a creation by Sam.
Okay.
So Sam is one of our very talented bar team here. What we wanted to do was touch on something classic, like your classic champagne cocktail, or your mimosa, etc. Something that does scream eloquence and so upmarket, but we wanted to bring it down to earth as well.
Okay.
Because that's what we do here at Sago House. Nothing is too shishi,
We don't want to be too all the way up there, but it's not connecting. You have to connect.
100%. Yeah. So, starting with the glassware, we have, this is a Whiplash by Kesho. So this is a Japanese handmade crystal. And when you have a fancy champagne cocktail, you need a fancy glass, right? It is quite nice, and it's quite nice to hold.
It is.
So you have this.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. Ching. Yes.
And then inside, as we taste.
Okay.
Nice, right?
Yeah.
So Sam's done a plum and Sam, is it plum and rosemary or plum and thyme?
Oh.
Plum and rosemary or plum and thyme? Peach and mint. I knew it. So Sam has done a peach and mint compote. A compote is kind of like a mixture between a syrup and a puree.
Okay.
Okay, so that's our base underneath. We've reinforced that with some lavender bitters to give it a bit of oomph. And then we've topped it off with the Laurent-Perrier champagne.
Wow.
With a little bit of aromatics from the garnish.
Okay.
There we go.
Laurent-Perrier will be proud.
You should come down and try it. You get all of those beautiful flavors from the grapes, and
it's very appetizing.
Right, it's nice. And all that stone fruit coming through really reinforces the quality of LP, which is something that, when Sam, Naz, Edwin, myself, Trisha, if any of us work on a drink, I've always said the star of the show needs to be the base.
Okay.
The base ingredient for this is Laurent-Perrier.
Yep.
And we do a tasting.
Yep.
And then we break down the flavors we get.
Wow.
And then you should be adding, much like cooking, you should be adding seasoning.
Enhancing it. Not overpowering it, but it's still the star.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Although my beard always catches things.
Well, as you see in every single episode of Art Beyond Museum, we really bring you to somewhere that is very special and you have never thought about it before. I mean, you are familiar with Chinatown, but probably before this episode, you might not know about Sago House. And you know what? It is one of the top 50 bars in Asia. Now, when we were speaking to Jay, we understand that Sago House was not just built out of a concept, but it was built out of the passion and the memories of the different founders, incorporating everything together, and such an establishment. I mean, you got to visit it and you're going to try their cocktails. They're refreshed every single week. Now, what I have with me, Master Yun's Feng Shui art, and this is called the Best of Romance. Yes, we can understand romance as in like its personal relationship and so on, but you know, it takes passion and energy for that to happen, just like what we saw in Sago House. And I think the fascinating thing about them is that they managed to inject themselves in this entire environment. And the word that I used when I was interviewing and I was talking to Jay was juxtaposition. How do you position yourself in Chinatown and making it work? What an extension that is. Just like Master Yun's Feng Shui painting, we know it is not just a simple classical Chinese painting. It is a painting, yes. It is a Chinese painting, yes. But it has more than that. It extends beyond that. The gold and silver, and of course, in my hand, Laurent-Perrier's champagne. It's part of the ingredient that is in this piece of artwork as well. And I'm sure when you go to Sago House and when you see Master Yun's Feng Shui painting in person and under the UV light, you will get a different, entirely new feel, and you will feel the entire burst of romance as well, just like how this bridge is crossing, just like how these feathers are forming the bridge to cross you to the next ramp. Cheers to revitalization. The Art Beyond Museums series and Master Yun Longzi's Feng Shui art are proud to be sponsored by Laurent-Perrier. For 200 over years, Laurent-Perrier has not worked with any other artist before. When you purchase a piece of Feng Shui art exhibited in this Art Beyond Museums series, you will also be getting a complimentary set of 5 different specially selected cuvées of Laurent-Perrier champagne: the La Cuvée, the Cuvée Rosé, Brut Millésimé, Demi-Sec Harmony, and the Cuvée Grand Siècle, so that you can enjoy the taste of elegance while basking in the prosperity of Master Yun's Feng Shui paintings and calligraphies. Cheers to prosperity and elegance.